Gentleman yields back for purposes. Does Mr. Massie seek recognition?
I move to strike the last word.
Gentleman is recognized.
The Democrats have real problems with the facts here on the 1994 to 2004 so-called assault weapons ban. You say that crime went down, but did you know that the sales of the so-called assault weapons went up during that period from 94 to 2004? The ban in 1994 was a ban on cosmetic features, such as a bayonet lug or a grenade launcher. Crime is not committed with grenade launchers. So the manufacturers and the gun control groups bemoaned this fact. The manufacturers, there were 6 in Illinois alone that quickly changed the cosmetics of the firearms and went back to manufacturing AR-15 style rifles within 2 years of 1994. So by 2004, the number of so-called assault rifles, what you all are calling assault rifles, had doubled during the assault weapons ban. So I'm at a loss to understand why they think that had a significant effect on crime. Here's the other problem they have. Almost all gun homicides are committed with handguns, okay? 95% of these homicides, in fact. So if crime went up because long guns, a different kind of long gun became available, well, how did that happen? Because the crime's not committed with long guns. Moving on, I would like to suggest, since the Democrats want to defund the police, instead of calling this the Active Shooter Alert Act of 2022, they should call it your On Your Own Act of 2022. I think it's very polite to let people know that they're in a dangerous situation if you're going to defund the police. Yeah, you should certainly let them know that there's not going to be any help on the way and that you should duck and hide. But that doesn't apply, actually, in the 26 states that have decided to institute constitutional carry, where law-abiding gun owners can carry a firearm. In fact, you may want to rename this the Lock and Load Act of 2022, because the good guys with the guns, I don't know if the Democrats know this, Mr. Benson pointed it out, but the good guys with the guns are going to be loading their guns when they get this alert. So you could, I don't know if you should call it the Lock and Load Act of 2022 or the You're On Your Own Act of 2022. Probably depends on if you live in a Democrat-controlled crime-ridden area, which gets me to my next point. You know, when you hear a gun go off in Lewis County, Kentucky, it's 10,000 to 1 odds that that is a legal discharge of a firearm. And the one chance that it's not, they're probably poaching a deer. Okay, it is a, you know, if you hear a gunshot in downtown Chicago, which actually is pretty frequent, I wonder if you're going to be able to turn this thing off so you can go to bed at night in Chicago, turn off the active shooter alert. Otherwise, nobody in Chicago is going to get any sleep. But if you hear this, and virtually anywhere else that Democrats control the gun laws and the police funding, that's going to be a problem. But it's just not appropriate in rural areas when you hear gunfire.
Would the gentleman yield?
To say, I would yield if he could. Actually, I'd like to yield to Mr. Cicilline, and then I'll yield to the chairman. Well, go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, the gentleman talked about that we want to defund the police. If you look at the next bill on the agenda of this committee, which I assume you have, it says that the Victim Act will provide grants to law enforcement agencies to help address staffing challenges, enhance forensics capabilities, further deploy investigative resources, and bolster victim services. We're not defunding police.
Okay, reclaiming my time. I would like to ask Mr. Cicilline Mr. Ice's question, because I don't know if he answered it or not, or if he even knows the answer. Does his bill consider or alert people when there's a criminal who has a gun with intent to do harm but hasn't discharged the gun yet?
This bill addresses active shooting incidents. By word active, it means there has to be an ongoing shooting incident or the threat of an active shooter. Again, law enforcement
does it-
agencies will have the
Does
opportunity
it cover
to
the
develop.
threat of, so the threat
That will be
would be
up to law
somebody?
enforcement agencies to develop their best practices and how they use the system. It simply says,
I thought
if
you
you
wanted to
want
be
to
up
have
to the
one.
federal government.
If you want, well, read the bill. It's if you want to avail
Well, if we're
yourself
going to
of
leave
the
it to the federal
infrastructure.
government, we're going to
We're not leaving it to the federal government.
Reclaiming my time. You didn't really answer the question.
I did answer your question. You didn't
Does
like
it
the
cover-
answer, apparently.
I'm asking the question then again. Does it cover people who haven't discharged the firearm yet, who may become an active shooter?
This bill is not prescriptive. It allows local governments and state governments to avail themselves of existing infrastructure to have an active shooter alert
reclaiming
system.
my time, would
and
the gentleman answer the question, if it makes a suggestion to the local municipality or state, would it suggest that the system covers somebody who hasn't discharged?
It doesn't make suggestions. It makes a system, an infrastructure available to local law enforcement if
Will
they
that
want to use it.
Reclaiming my time, will that
Time
infrastructure?
of the gentleman has well expired.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Who seeks recognition?